So let me move to my third concept, and that's the concept of mindful communication and how that really impacts how we do our construction management here at this project at the monastery, and really what I do as a construction project manager. You know, in my experience in the past, typically construction management, it's almost like a military operation, right? You know, the architect draws the plans and he passes it on to the contractor, and the contractor's committed to a certain budget and a schedule, and he passes the marching orders out to the subcontractors, and, you know, it's this very linear, you know, competitive process. And, you know, it's not based on trust. The owners go out and they want to get 3 bids because they don't trust that they're going to get the best price from one person. And, you know, there's no openness. The contractors submit sealed bids because they don't want anyone else to see their numbers. And, you know, I think now looking back at it, I think what the construction industry is trying to do is they're trying to reduce the amount of conflict that happens in construction by kind of reducing everyone's responsibility. Each person is responsible for one certain segment. But what I find is I think it actually increases conflict, because what happens is when something changes, when something goes wrong, then there's the blame game. You know, who's going to take the blame? Is it the architect? Is it the builder? Is it, you know, who is it? We didn't want to work that way here. And so from the very outset, I was really encouraged to try to employ our mindfulness practices here. And instead of, you know, typically you invite one contractor up at a time, you'd meet with them confidentially. Instead, what we did is we brought all the contractors out, all together, and we invited the contractors to come and sit in a circle. And we invited the bell, and we introduced the basic concepts of going back to your breath and stopping and being mindful. Then later, after that meeting, I was approached by one of the contractors that was there. And he came to me and he said, "Ed, you know, I saw the contractors that are in that room. I understand this project, and I'm just not even going to submit a proposal because I know, you know, I'm not going to be the low price bid, and there's just no way I'm going to get this job, so I won't do it." And I had the courage to have a conversation with this general contractor that I've never had before in my construction industry. And I was just very open and honest with Chuck. And I said, "You know, Chuck, I've been around this practice for a long time. And I know that the sisters, you know, they don't think in terms of months or years. You know, they're thinking in terms of generations, of centuries and decades, not just about, you know, who's going to build this the fastest and the least expensive way possible. They're really looking at it from a broader perspective. They are looking at, you know, what's the best for us at the monastery and us as a community, and what's the best thing for San Diego and for the nation and really for the world. And if you take that perspective, it's not all about just getting that lowest bid and building it as fast as possible." So I said, I really think you're going to be a great fit for this project, and I really would encourage you to submit a proposal, and submit it the way you want, with the quality that you believe should be here and the way that you would do this work. Submit your proposal and let's see what happens. And so he did, and guess what? He got the job. What that's done for me, and in working on this project for the last year, is it's made me realize, hey, I can carry this beyond the walls of the monastery here. I can really bring this out into the other jobs that I have. And my dream is to really bring it out to the construction industry in general. So what I've developed is I've coined a term called collaborative construction. And that's really in marked contrast from what I call competitive construction, which is the old school way of doing it. So collaborative construction is really based on open communication, our mindful concept of open communication, deep listening and loving speech. And so what happens is that in my projects, everyone at the table has a voice, right? Everyone is empowered to speak their piece and to contribute. So if there's a subcontractor on a job and he thinks he's got a better way of doing something, or he looks at something and goes, "Why are they doing it this way?" He doesn't just do it that way. He's empowered to go to the superintendent and say, "Hey, you know, I think there's a better way of doing things." And the superintendent is empowered to go back to the contractor, and the contractor is to go to the architect and say, "Hey, there might be a better way of doing things here." So, you know, collaborative construction, it's based on trust, it's based on cooperation, shared values and shared purposes. And so what ends up happening out of collaborative construction is that you create this harmony that unfortunately is oftentimes missing in our industry. And it creates lasting relationships. You end up building relationships with trades and people that you use ongoingly over time. It's just such a difference than competitive construction, and it's really transformed the way that I approach things. It's become my passion, and I've reprinted my business cards. It actually says collaborative construction on my business cards. I've discovered a cloud-based construction project management system that I use on my iPad and my iPhone. I use it with my builders, and the owners have it, and the trades, and everyone. We all share communication. We share documents and information all through this cloud-based system. I was at the International Builders Show in Las Vegas this week, talking to a lot of people about collaborative construction and really sharing my vision of collaborative construction and how I think that it can transform the construction industry.